Welcome back for another 12 Days of Christmas video. This one's actually going to be my first hair giveaway, and I am so excited to bring you Luxy Hair. If you've watched my other hair videos, you might have seen me use my Luxys. I love these extensions. They're the best. And they actually got a little bit better recently because now they're using eco-friendly packaging. You get them in this really chic box, which is not only eco-friendly, but it's also a nice little storage for your Luxys when you're not using them. So I love this. Now, of course, all the giveaway information will be in the description box, but the look I'm going to do today is something very, very glamorous and big. So I'm using two different colors too, just because I added a little bit of lightness to my hair again, and so I'm using the dark brown and the mocha brown just to add a little bit of dimension. So I'm going to be using a little bit of both. I won't be using all of both sets, but just enough to give me a nice amount of volume. So here I've got my dark brown set, and a tip I have for you guys when you are applying your extensions is before you begin, just take a brush and go through and just brush through the extensions. It makes things a lot easier later, and especially when you're clipping them in, you don't get any tangles. So definitely brush through them before you begin. And another thing I'm going to recommend is having a comb like this with a really sharp end, just because you can really separate hair with this. And you're also going to need, of course, a good can of hairspray. And I'd also recommend this teasing brush. I don't tease my hair often, but when I want something really big and voluminous, I definitely use this, because just a couple of strokes upward and it really rats out your hair. It makes it really big without a lot of effort and a lot of damage. So I like using this guy. And for my curling iron today, I'm just going to be using my standard Conair 1.5 inch. So I'm going to go ahead and clip in my extensions. This is kind of a tough thing to show on camera, but once I get to the front pieces, I'll show you exactly how I clip them in. So now I have most of the extensions clipped in, and the only ones that are left are the ones that go in the front. So I'm going to show you how to put these on. So I take my comb and I separate a nice clear line, and then when I want to separate it, I definitely use a clip to hold the other section in place. And then I'll take that very first layer where I want to clip the hair in, and then I'll just back comb very little just to make it a little more, I guess, ratty, so that the clip really stays in. So I'm just going to open that up and secure it right there, and just give it a little tug and make sure that it's secured. Okay, now all of the pieces are in. I've got two of the front pieces on each side, and I used about half of each color from the dark brown and the chocolate brown, so really I ended up using pretty much an entire 160 gram set, just in different colors. So now that they're in, I just want to go through and just give it a light, light brush, just because I want it to blend with my hair as much as possible. And since my hair was already curled to begin with, it's got a pretty nice shape already, but I'm just gonna jazz it up a little more. So now comes the kind of boring part of the styling process. I'm gonna go through with my 1.5 inch curling iron and just put curls in all over, and then I'm gonna go in and shape it. So that's it. I went through and put in curls all over except the front, because that's where I'm going to be doing most of the styling. So I just want to give this a spray. And I made the curls pretty tight because I'm going to be brushing them out too. So now what I'm going to do is take my teasing brush and just go all the way through and just grab the entire bunch of hair on each side and just comb upward. Just as a whole. You don't need to take them piece by piece. Just grab them by the very ends and comb upward, because look, it gives it so much more volume. So you want to do this mostly to the extensions and less to your natural hair, but your natural hair will get in there a little bit. So this is why I like using this brush as opposed to a comb, because with very little effort, look at how big my hair got. So I'm just gonna go through and lightly voluminize all over. And I'll probably do this again before I finish it off. So now here's where more of the styling comes in. I'm gonna take my brush and I'm actually gonna create a side part here. So I'm gonna start about there and bring it over. That's about right. And you can choose your own part wherever it looks best, if it's closer to the middle or even further over. So I'm gonna take this front part and separate it out. This is why I didn't curl the front off camera, so that you guys could see how I'm creating this shape. So I'm gonna take just the front here, and because I want it to stand up really tall, I'm gonna take my curling iron and I'm actually gonna curl it inward instead of outward. So I'm gonna place it under my hair and just really create that height. So I'm pushing up with the iron and down with the hair. Just really trying to create height. You don't really have to do anything with the ends until later. So that's good. I'm gonna do one more row behind this row. I'm going to take this and do the exact same thing. Place the iron under the hair and just really create some height. This looks really cute right now. And then just one time I'm going to take both rows and just curl them together to really create that exaggerated side part. So as you can see, I've got quite a bit of height right here. So now it's going to be a game of balancing the height, teasing a little, curling a little. So looking at this, and it looks like it's a little just too high in the middle. So I want to tease a little bit here at the end, just so it's kind of an even height and it doesn't like peak in the middle. So you see it got a little bit bigger here, and then I'm just going to tame it in the middle. This side needs a little bit more volume, so I'm going to take my curling iron and just give it some more curl right up here. And really hold it near the root so that it really gives me a good amount of curl. Okay, so now that I have that curled, I'm going to take my brush again and I'm going to back comb a little bit until I get the desired amount of height. So back comb, and I don't like doing this too much because it does cause a little bit of damage to hair, but if you're not doing it too often, it's not a big deal. I've got an extension right here, so I want to make sure I back comb that. So you can see I'm already getting more volume on this side. So I went ahead and adjusted my tripod a little bit higher so that you could see the hair. It was getting so big it wasn't even fitting in the frame anymore. So here's where I'm at now. I just teased a little bit back here, a little on the side here, definitely up here. Now to finish it off, I want to make sure I hairspray and use a finishing brush like this one just to kind of work out since I've done so much teasing, just work out all the tangled bits. And the first thing I want to do is put a little hairspray in my hand and try to tame these guys up here. And also put a little bit on my brush, or my comb, excuse me, and just kind of tame all the little pieces that are out of control. And as for the rest of my hair, again, I'm going to use this finishing brush by GHD, just kind of smoothing it out anywhere it needs it, and making sure it's rat-free and tangle-free. And of course I'm going to give it one last spray all over. Make sure that holds. And there it is, my Big Sexy Hair Part 2. If you remember the first one, I had my hair just parted down the middle. It was a pretty standard look, just really voluminous and curled. This one's a little more glamorous. The side part and the height just gives it a lot more of that drama, so I hope you guys liked it. Again, check the description box for the Luxy Hair giveaway, and be sure to stay tuned for my next video.